Dog breath can be a big problem, says a new report.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the warm-up on Talk Sport. There's loads going on today as we prepare for the early kick-off at Turf Moor, where Burnley host Manchester City. Then it's the big one live right here on Talk Sport later this afternoon when Chelsea take on Spurs at Stamford Bridge. We'll be asking, what on earth is going on at the FA? Apparently Wayne Rooney didn't gatecrash a wedding. Apparently he never did play a piano. He never did get drunk. He never did bring the game into disrepute. And he's still going to be captain of England. Bobcat Bob's still looking for his first win. And Ian Holloway's heading up to Ipswich with QPR. There'll be lots of calls of, who are you? Coming up a bit later on. 08717 223344. Also coming up on the show, Porky will be paying tribute to Fidel Castro, who's died aged 90, and of course we'll have the 1 minute moan as well. You're listening to the two mics on the warm-up with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics on the warm-up, and there's lots and lots and lots to get on with in the next couple of hours. It's time to say very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Very good morning to you, Mike. Who are you?
Who are you?
Today meets We Are the Carrot Crunchers.
Well, haven't you got a property up there in Ipswich?
I've actually got a few. Well, I've got more than one.
Orwell Key, is it?
Orwell Key, yeah, I've got more than one. Don't go around and brick it, please, because it is a lovely part of the world.
You could have offered it to Who Are You for the night, couldn't you?
Well, I could have said, you want it for the night, you know it for the night. You can borrow my rubber inflated boat if you want and go out to sea, Ian. Why don't you do that before you go to Portman Road?
Mind you, he could get another win. I mean, he got a win, his first win as the manager of QPR, second time around. It took him 10 games to get a win the last time he was manager.
Taru.
So, what do you mean, Taru?
Well, Taru.
Taru, is that what they say up there?
Aye, Taru.
All right. Now, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What on earth is going on with the FA? I mean, you're a former employee of the FA.
Yeah.
Back page of the Mirror, John Cross, good friend of this station, says apparently Wayne Rooney didn't gatecrash a wedding. Apparently he didn't do anything untoward. Apparently he was never told to come home to bed early.
Yes.
Apparently there wasn't a curfew put in place by Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
And apparently he's not going to be retired as England captain.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking like that.
Sorry?
I don't know why I'm talking like that.
Who
are you?
Yo, he's not head of the FA, is he? He's head of QPR.
What on earth are they doing at the FA?
Well,
can you answer that, please?
Well, listen, I don't think there's too much to worry about here. I mean, the point
what
is...
What do you mean?
Well...
You spent most of last week telling everybody what a disgrace Wayne Rooney was. How
no, I didn't.
He himself had said that, if you misbehave, you get sent home.
Yes.
In an interview that he'd given to Martin Samuel back in July.
Yeah.
This guy was, bringing the game into disrepute, bringing the good name of England into disrepute.
I've never
what about that picture of him playing the piano?
Well, there wasn't a picture of him playing the piano. There was a picture of him sitting at a piano stool with his back to the camera.
What, not playing the piano?
Well, I didn't know
he
could
play.
Well, I didn't know he could play the piano.
Why was he sitting down at a piano as if playing it if he wasn't playing it?
What he did was he literally pushed his hands onto the keyboard and went boing.
Right.
But he can't play it.
Well, that's still playing the piano to all intents and purposes.
Messing around on a piano.
Surrounded by at least 5 members of the England coaching staff, right?
But I never, ever started criticising him and saying he was a disgrace. I've never said that about Wayne Rooney. I didn't.
You did. You spent most of last week doing it.
No, I didn't. I pointed out that he made a statement in July of this year in which he said he thinks people need to behave properly if they're in the in camp, and if they're not, they should be sent home.
I see.
I didn't call him a disgrace. I said
people will remember your words differently.
No, he laid down his own laws there and his own rules. But anyway, look, the FA now want to sweep it under the carpet and get on with life. And why should anybody say there's anything wrong with that?
They're interviewing people for the England manager's job.
Well, they don't need to anymore, do they? I tell you what's interesting, talking about what's in the newspapers this morning.
Yes.
Thank you very much to our sister paper, The Sun, right, for stealing 1,000 words of my best-selling book.
When you say your best-selling book,
yes.
It does appear to be credited. Unfortunately, your name appears to be missing from the credits.
I know, it's a bit harsh, isn't it?
It's Alan Brazil's sort of treatise on the terrible abuse that he suffered while he was at Celtic Boys, right?
It certainly is.
But it says at the end, from Alan Brazil's best-selling autobiography, there's an awful lot of bubbly in Brazil.
Yeah.
The Life and Times of a Bon Viveur.
Yeah.
No mention of the author,
no.
who was, of course, Mike Parry.
Exactly. It doesn't even mention that.
Well, unfortunately, because they're now part of the same company, there's not much point in you pursuing them for any kind of lawsuit, compensation or anything like that.
And I remember so well writing this chapter, because I'd spoken to Al about it. He spoke quite openly.
Well, so these are your words, are they?
These are my words, and I'll read them to you in the sort of...
I wanted to kill the sick bee.
Yeah, now you've got it there. Because you're very good at reading my words from that book in a Scottish accent.
Yes.
Go on.
Well, I mean...
I was enjoying.
From where is that?
If you look just below the picture.
I was enjoying a day at York Races when I spotted him. No, I don't think I'm going to read it as a Scottish accent, because this is not the same as reading out the sky was inky black.
That's right,
and
true.
the snow was as white as a tin of Dulux paint.
No, you're right.
This is a very serious matter.
This is a very serious matter.
And I'm not going to make fun of it.
And just to put the lid on it, it's a very serious matter. But when I wrote Alan's book, There's an Awful Lot of Bubbly in Brazil, it was a bestseller, and one issue he wanted to write about to help other footballers was, he said, I don't want to write about the situation regarding me and a terrible, perverted guy who weaseled his way into football, who I eventually brought to justice by flying up to Scotland.
You?
And Alan Brazil.
Oh, right.
Alan Brazil.
So when you say me, people think you're talking about yourself.
No, sorry. Alan Brazil is talking to me, and he said, Mike, I want to bring this, I want to make this clear. I want to help other people. I brought the guy to justice because I was asked to fly to Scotland at very short notice to attend a trial that was on the verge of collapsing involving this man, and I gave evidence from the witness box which nailed him, and he went away, and the guy was finished and thrown out of football.
Good.
So I was very happy to come clean about all that, and let's hope that the people who are currently mired in the latest terrible revelations get the same sort of justice.
Yeah, because there's now 4 different police forces investigating these claims, which they now fear could involve thousands of young footballers.
Yeah.
Terrible situation, really.
It is.
But, who knows where it's all going to end up and whether it's going to lead to anybody who's still in football.
No,
which
that's
at the moment
absolutely right.
it's not doing, right?
Absolutely right. Now, of course, the biggest breaking story overnight...
Biggest breaking story overnight is...
Fidel Castro. He is no more.
Now, did you not think, as I did, and many people thought, when the news came in that he had died at the age of 90, that he was already dead? Because he was meant to have died a few years ago. And people then denied that he was dead.
No.
People said he was on his deathbed. His brother took over, Raul Castro.
Raul Castro.
A lot of people actually thought that Raul Castro and Fidel Castro were one of the same.
Yeah, they did, actually.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories
I think
around.
what happened was, I think he became so ill, he became immobile. Maybe he was even in a coma or something. So I think they just kept him alive by pumping sort of stuff into his veins and maybe on a respirator. Because, of course, he was the start of the revolution. But everybody got it terribly wrong, We'll talk about the Cuba situation in a minute or two. Everybody wrong. Nobody.
What situation?
The Cuba situation.
Oh, the Cuba. I thought it said Yacuba.
No, Cuba. Just listen.
Right.
Nobody cared a flying fig about Fidel Castro. The pin-up boy was Che Guevara. And when Che Guevara got shot when he was tramping around Bolivia trying to have a revolution there as well, it was all over.
Well, when you say tramping around, well, no, it wasn't all over. I mean, Fidel Castro, for many socialists, was the standard bearer of socialism around the world. These were people who used to ring my radio show up on many an occasion to say, did you know that they have the best healthcare in the world in Cuba?
Rubbish.
Problem is, they don't have any chickens.
No.
So they might have had great healthcare.
Can't feed anybody.
But then people were queuing up around the block every time somebody had one chicken.
Utter drivel.
People go on holiday there now, though, so apparently it's a great place to go.
Oh, it's great. My mate
I quite fancy going there.
Yeah, my mate went quite recently, and you know what? Even if
Who did?
My mate went quite recently. Old JJ.
JJ, your mate?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Well, he was last time I saw him, but struggling.
When was that?
Oh, maybe 2-3 months ago.
Really?
But struggling, yeah. No, what I was going to say was the CIA then illustrated their utter incompetence by coming up with 25 different ways to kill Fidel Castro.
Right, and failing each time.
They sent women there. They went into Times Square, recruited a load of prostitutes, and then smuggled them into Cuba to become Fidel Castro's mistress. And all they had to do was poison him during lovemaking.
Did he not suspect when all these women were queuing up from Times Square?
No, because loads of women in Cuba were queuing up to have sex with him anyway, because he was the new leader, and he liked a lot of horizontal refreshment. You know what I mean?
It's a family show, this,
Family show, yeah. And a lot of them had American influence anyway, because you've got to remember, before Fidel took over, Batista was running Cuba as a colony of America anyway.
That's right.
It was for American millionaires to go gambling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As you see in The Godfather.
Absolutely, right, yeah.
Godfather 2.
Yeah. So, anyway, R.I.P. Fidel.
Yeah.
But the world won't miss you, particularly the tens of thousands of your own people you locked up in horrible jails and concentration camps.
Well, most of them are in Florida now, aren't they?
Yeah, just because they wouldn't join the revolution.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
We've got Tim Vine, who's not our man, but he's got something to say about Fidel Castro. I think he's about to pay tribute to the great man. Tim, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, I went to Cuba once.
Did you?
I've got the cigars to prove it.
Have you? Still?
Yeah, exactly. Got cigars to prove it. That's a great line, that. But most people go once and then never go again.
I haven't been there.
I was on a cruise with my dad, and we only went to Cuba briefly and came back. It's like going back in time, isn't it? All the cars are from the 50s. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Oh, it's terrific.
But I presume it's changing now because Obama lifted the trading bar,
Well,
didn't
you'd
he, a
think
few
so.
months ago?
You'd think so. I thought it was better when Battistusta ran it, Tim, and it was corrupt and full of casinos and rich Americans and exotic women. Those cigars you got, by the way, the leaves of those cigars are rolled on the thighs of dusky virgins.
Is
That really right, though?
Yes, that's right.
Is
Yeah,
that what you
yeah,
believe?
Yeah, that's all right.
Porky's very gullible, If he sees anything written down, he immediately repeats it and as if it's fact.
I don't at all.
Did you read that in a James Bond novel?
That's right. Now, Tim, it's really good of you to come on to...
I'm a huge fan of you guys. I still can't get used to not listening to you at night, actually. I miss you at night.
Well, we're around sometimes at night. At the moment, I'm on a secret mission, which I can't tell you anything about because I would have to shoot you if I did. and that is restricting my airtime. But, Tim, what I particularly wanted to say was it's so good of you to come on because you suddenly must have discovered that we've got a new DVD out called The Two Mics Live in Edinburgh. And when we heard you wanted to come
Filmed on location at the Edinburgh Festival.
Filmed on location at the Edinburgh Festival. And when we heard you wanted to come on and promote a DVD...
That's what I want to do. I want to come on and promote your DVD. That's exactly what I want to do.
Well, what a boy. What a boy.
Fantastic. Now, we understand you...
How many DVDs is this of you guys?
This is the second.
This will be the second one,
I heard the polythene was put on by a psychiatrist. It was shrink-wrapped.
Very good.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it could have been, by the way, once you watch it, you might well say it was.
You might want to go and see a psychologist at the end of it. Yeah, absolutely right. Now, by coincidence, I understand you've also got a DVD out, Tim. Is that right?
I have, yeah. I have. Yeah. Have I? Yes, I have. Yeah, it's me being stupid, really. It's I went on a date with a girl called Simile. I don't know what I met her for. It's still like an hour of that rubbish.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Is it like filmed live? Is it you standing in front of a camera? How is it done?
That's how we film things these days. You have to stand if you stand on the other side of the camera, they can't see you.
No, they can't. That's true.
You see, that's why they pay Tim the big bucks, as he comes out with these one-liners. What I mean is it just your face, or is it something else going on?
No, it really is just me. It's like a stand-up thing. I walk around the stage and say things like, hands up if you don't know how to point at the ceiling.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I waste everyone's time for an hour.
No, it's brilliant. And is it in a theatre where there's a live audience?
Yeah, it's at the Bloomsbury Theatre in London.
Oh, yeah, lovely, yeah. And are they giving you a lot of stick?
The audience, no, thankfully, they laugh.
Right, that's great.
Yeah. And did you pay them to attend, or did they pay to come in?
I think they may have. I don't know. They probably paid to come in.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
probably that's the way it works, isn't it? Yeah, it would be funny, wouldn't it, if you did a live DVD and and you put it out of total death. That'd be quite an original DVD, actually, wouldn't it?
It certainly
Being
would.
booed off.
Now, Tim, you have cracked the art of performing because, of course, I carry this 10-ton weight around on my back called Mike Graham, whereas you've decided you're better off on your own.
Well, Tim is funny on his own, you see, whereas you're not. That's the difference.
Very funny, but quite seriously.
That you two, what I think works with you two is you both need each other but refuse to admit it.
Yes, exactly, absolutely right.
You never get me admitting that, mate. He was nothing till I came along and made him something.
Yeah, no, I was a lot more before you came along and wasted $1 million of my money in America. Thanks very much.
Well, that's your fault for buying a house in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Tim, have you ever considered one of those great comic duos? Ant and Dec, the Two Mics, Morecambe and Wise?
Have I considered them? Well, I consider. Well, listen, you joke about that, but I mean, I genuinely am a huge fan of the two of you and always get slightly starstruck when I listen to it. And
it's very kind of you.
Yeah, I chuckle just as I'm falling off to sleep. I chuckle. So it's sometimes I laugh my head off.
But the thing is, Tim, I'm well balanced enough to take that as a compliment and move on. Yes. Whereas Porky will now be chiselling that in a piece of stone and having it erected in his very, very small flat down in Surrey, which he claims is a penthouse.
I certainly will. Every time I appear on your brother's radio show, by the way, I tell him what a genius you are. Funny that he keeps
asking you back.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, Porky's actually appeared on your brother's show on what can only be described as a rival radio station as an expert on obesity, an expert on road safety.
Yes.
He's also been an expert
on
football.
Yes.
He's been an expert on Coronation Street. I mean,
they
must be very short of experts at Radio 2.
And on the litter problem in this country.
And does road safety cause obesity? That's probably the sort of thing.
Well,
it's so many topics he needs, like 5 a day, that eventually it's going to run out, isn't it? And then he genuinely had one the other day, which was ring in if you're afraid of the sound of your own voice. That was a genuine one. Not many people rang in, surprisingly.
Funny enough, we have a few people who work
I
on
worked for a radio
Talksport.
station in Edinburgh once, and a guy went on and asked people to ring in if they'd recently had a stroke.
Yeah, really.
Which was one of the most ridiculous questions ever put out there. Now, Tim, because it's a big Saturday for sport, are you indulging in any sporting activity this afternoon? Or even if you're watching it.
Now that you brought it up, I play for in a pub league in Epsom, not far from where from you are.
Absolutely.
And I played darts, and I won the summer singles tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I've got to go to some sort of prize giving where they give you an envelope with 20 quid in it.
That's absolutely brilliant. I love that.
Tremendous.
Because, of course, you see, when you play darts in a place like Epsom, Tim, you get a better quality of person in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, I find.
Yeah, you have never played for a dart team at Epsom, have you?
When I
Porky pretends he lives in Epsom, even though he doesn't, because he thinks it sounds better than the place he does live in.
Don't be ridiculous. I live in Stockbroker Belt.
What's the name of the town you live in?
Person in my darts team. They all relentlessly take the mickey out of me.
I'm not going into that. Yeah, exactly. Now, Tim, where do we get your new DVD?
Well, I suppose Amazon or something. Do people even have DVD players anymore?
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Feels like I'm ringing up from 1983.
I know. Well, it's funny you should say that because lots of people give us grief for putting out a DVD, but lots of people then order it anyway. But we also have to do a digital download as well.
Yeah, I think we do a download somewhere as well. Yeah, I don't really understand how that works.
Okay. All right.
And does this have a Christmas?
That'll be you and Porky then.
Yeah. Does it have a Christmas theme to it, Tim?
Not at all.
No, ours doesn't either. Because you know what? That means people won't buy it in January and February.
That's right. Mine has a January and February theme to it.
Exactly.
What an entrepreneurial master you are, Mr. Parry.
Exactly. I got it completely right.
Listen, hang on.
We have to tell Tim.
I was helping my mum with the computer the other day. She said, whenever I hit that button, it swears at me.
It swears at you. Tim,
that's the cursor. Wait for the punchline.
Let him finish the punchline, you muppet.
Sorry about that. The cursor. I love it. Tim,
Tim, I'm terribly sorry about this.
I'll tell you how
His comic timing is woeful.
It is. I'll tell you how good our technology is. We announced that the new DVD was out, right? Hey, it's all there. Order it now. Unfortunately, we forgot to tell the distributors. So the first 15 people who ordered one got last year's, including a poor girl in New Zealand who got two.
She got two of them.
Don't tell me that they never complained. That would be terrible.
We told them they could keep it for free. We sent them a new one. But that is the travails of being a DVD producer.
And how many did you say you've got out? Because I've not got any of your DVDs. I'd like to have them.
Two. We'll send you a couple.
Of course we will.
Oh, I'd love that.
We'll send you both of them. We did one last year at Head and Chickens, and this one's from the Edinburgh Festival. We'll send them on to you.
Yeah, and if you want to talk to one of our guys behind the glass,
Only $13.49.
it would be an honour to send one to you, sir. An honour.
Send one to you.
Don't be such a creep.
Exactly. Not one of yours back again. I mean, I'll send you one of mine. Yeah.
We'll send you two of the same. Tim, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Tim Vine, what a gentleman. He's got a new DVD out. So have we. You can find ours at the2mics.co.uk. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics on the warm-up. We've got a big game coming up at 12:30, Burnley against Manchester City, which is going to be very interesting. Your mate Sean Dyche.
Yeah. Sean Dyche is on the game. Yeah. How are you feeling this morning, by the way?
Very well, thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think you should be feeling that well?
What do you mean?
Didn't you put out a picture of your breakfast this morning?
I did. I had a great breakfast. Fantastic.
You call it great?
Yes.
It's the most cholesterol-ridden plate of food I've seen in a long, long time.
To be honest, I very rarely have a fry-up. I very rarely have a full.
And why did you have it this morning?
Because I was a little bit early. I'd had dinner quite early last night. I was very hungry. I'd driven up from Sussex. I got into town about 8:45, and I thought, you know what? I think I'll just stop and have something to eat.
Why didn't you tell the truth? Last night was Friday night. Friday night is your bladderation night.
No, it's not.
And you had your usual WRRW routine.
No, that's not true.
Bottle of white.
No.
Bottle of red.
Incorrect.
Bottle of rosé and half a bottle of whiskey.
That's not true.
Are you saying you didn't?
No, I didn't have any whiskey. I didn't have any white wine. I had a bit of Beaujolais Nouveau because it is the season for that.
Sorry.
As you know.
Can we define a bit, please?
I probably had about 3/4 of a bottle.
Oh, no. Oh, no, my information is nearer 3 bottles.
You don't have any information.
Listen, by the way, somebody has printed today...
Well, what did you have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast today?
Yeah, today, yes. Today.
What's wrong with you?
Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
You just went today.
I had a corned beef sandwich.
A corned beef sandwich for breakfast?
Yes, I did, yes.
With what on it?
Lovely, fresh, fluffy bread, butter, and corned beef. From a bakery, you idiot.
Did you get it out there this morning, did you?
What?
Did you go and get it this morning?
I was out feeding the ducks at 5:30 this morning.
So is that when you bought
So on the way back, I went to the bakery and got a loaf.
I see.
Okay? But anyway, Jamie, what's his name? Jamie Oliver, that's right. He's published, right, what he would, his perfect his perfect Christmas Day feast, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it is a total of 9,864 calories. seems a bit excessive to me.
Weird. I mean, Christmas is when you do eat an awful lot. And I mean, in fairness, I'm sure that what I had this morning, I'll tell you what I had. I had bacon, sausage, egg, black pudding, tomatoes, mushrooms, and...
I can't believe one human being can ingest that in one meal.
Well, because you fill your stomach up with ale most of the day, and so you don't actually eat anything. You know, you don't understand the need for people to have protein ingested into their system. I can't remember the last time I had a fried breakfast like that. If I have one maybe twice a year, that's very good.
Yeah,
but,
you were just trying to soak up last night's excessive alcohol.
No, I was just hungry.
Jamie Oliver's includes things like Brussels sprouts, pumpkins, balsamic potatoes, whatever they are.
Balsamic potatoes, they grow in a very special part of the field.
In balsamic, I suppose.
Yes, that's right.
Roasted parsnips, turkey coated in bacon, rashers, herbs and sage butter, stuffing, bread sauce. I mean, I don't know. I have a normal breakfast on Christmas Day.
A normal breakfast, meaning what?
Well, you know, something like a bacon sandwich or something, and then stack myself up for the big one at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much for sharing that with us.
Yes.
I'd rather talk to Jenny Seagrove than you know.
Well, I have to agree. It's a rather more favourable option.
She's on the phone right
Indeed.
now. Jenny, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning. I feel like I've entered a war zone.
Well, Jenny, don't...
That's actually relatively good-natured for us, but I mean, I have to put up with Parry.
I'm laughing myself.
I have to put up with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune from Mike Parry every single day. He makes stories up about me, refuses to tell the truth at all times, and I'm horrified to know, Jenny, that you've actually known this man for quite some time.
Known and adore him, I have to tell you.
For heaven's sake.
Well, Jenny, that's very, very kind of you. Let me explain to our millions of listeners why Jenny has chosen to join us this morning. We have, of course, launched our BetSave charity feature. BetSafe, that's right, charity feature. And, Jenny, I have decided, if I can, possibly, to help your charity, the Main Chance Sanctuary, and perhaps you could tell our listeners exactly the work you do there, please.
Okay, thank you very much for a start. I'm really grateful to both of you, but thank you especially, Mike. Main Chance, I started it, we're 5 years old. I started it in crisis. I rescued a huge number of animals, but what's happened now is we've got 60-odd acres down near Guildford, and we've got 30 horses, and we don't just rescue the horses and rehabilitate them. They've all been damaged, except 2 who were born on site. We actually bring in some very, very sick children from the local hospice, and the horses are amazing with them. They just stand and put their heads in their laps. And the kids have just very, very tiny but huge reactions to these horses. They stop crying. I was there the other Wednesday. And we also work with some special needs groups and some young people who've lost it. I mean, one of the lads who worked for us for a year and a half had been excluded from school. And he's now, last time he was top of his class, and he's got a part-time job tiling in London. And that's from coming to Main Chance and working with our team with the horses. So
that's absolutely lovely, Jenny. So it's not just rescuing distressed horses and making sure they're right. You're actually using the horses then as a tool to help other disadvantaged people in the community.
Your choice of words is something I have to correct you with, Mike, because we don't use the horses. We consider them to be partners.
Sure.
A lot of places do use horses, and the horses really aren't considered at all. But we really, really work hard to make sure that the horses benefit from the interactions and we don't force them to do anything. And it's a place of great sanctuary.
Yeah.
Really
and can you watch the horses sort of just almost repair under your gaze? I mean, as the longer they stay with you, can you see them actually improving and getting better?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh, my goodness, yes. I mean, there are some horses that you couldn't touch when they first came to us. And they're now, well, pretty much anyone can go in the field with them, and they love nothing more than quiet interaction and a scratch.
Yeah.
And it's you know, we heal horses, we help heal people. It's really beautiful. Yeah. And I'm really grateful for your support, guys.
Well,
funding's hard at the moment. It's really hard.
I bet it is.
Well, the bad news, of course, is that Mike's not very good at betting, so hopefully you'll get some money by the end of the season, but we can't guarantee it. Yeah. Speaking of which, Jenny, I understand that you and Mr. Parry share a love of Everton Football Club, and I'd like to ask you about a story that I've heard on the grapevine, that at one point you were out in Romania at some kind of European fixture, and he was so desperate for a beer that you were sent off, or you volunteered to go off and find one for him.
I can't remember that far back.
Yeah, well, neither can he. That's why I was hoping somebody would be able to tell me the truth.
Fortunately, Jenny, there was a soldier with a rifle across his back who had the entrance to because we were in Ceausescu's private box, except Ceausescu had been seen off by the local people.
So he wasn't in there?
He wasn't, but the drink was, and Jenny managed to find a way for me to slip through the door and get one. So kind of you. Talking about Everton, Jenny, we're at Southampton tomorrow. How are you feeling about that one?
Listen, I am an Everton fan. I believe that on our day we could beat anyone.
Well, I hope so.
I love my team. I love them.
Yeah, well, I do as well. And so, there's nothing better, is there, than sharing a drink after an Everton victory. Let's hope that we might be able to do that tomorrow. Jenny, thank you ever so much for joining us, and very good luck with the charity. I mean, just briefly, the reason that I so support yours, Jenny, is I can see the charity. I've lost a bit of faith with international, charities. You never quite know where it's going, but I see the work you do in those fields, and it's awe-inspiring. Keep up the good work.
People can come and visit us. We've got ways of people to see what we do. So, and it's MANE as in horse's mane, just in case anyone's interested.
That's right.
In looking at our website.
And if people want to get interested and contribute more, where do they go to?
They go to www.mainchancesanctuary.org.
Excellent.
Brilliant stuff. Jenny, thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon. And I'm sure we'll be
Enjoy
speaking to you again
you.
soon. Jenny Seagrove there, mainchance.sanctuary.org, I think is the place to go. Now, coming up in future weeks, I'll be talking to Mr. Donald McLeod, a good friend of ours, who's the guy up in Scotland who runs Nordoff Robbins Scotland. Yes.
He's got lots of money, isn't he?
He has, but he's also the patron of the Nordoff Robbins charity.
That's excellent.
And so we'll be talking to him. And also, he happens to also be putting our show on in Glasgow at the Garage.
Excellent.
On December the 17th.
Yeah, and he sorts all the accounts and everything out, does he?
He does indeed.
Yeah, excellent. Good.
Now, how about this from Paul, who says, the baboon berating MG for his cholesterol-laden breakfast. This from a man who uses sausage fat as butter. Hashtag a plank.
I don't think so. I'm getting a bit of stick, by the way. People think that I cut across Tim Vine when he was telling a joke.
You interrupted him before the punchline was delivered.
Listen, I'm smart.
Because your comic timing is so woeful.
I'm smarter than the average bear. I knew exactly what the punchline was going to be.
The average bear's not very smart. I've got news for you.
So I thought I'd start laughing before he came with the punchline about the cursor. I knew he was going to be out swearing, and as the joke went on, I thought this is going to be cursor, so I timed my laugh with the punchline.
As I've said to you many times, it's only a 2-hour show. You'll have to curtail your blabbering mouth for a little while.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone.
This is not obviously an ode to Everton or anything, is it?
No. Well, it could be, couldn't it? Simply the best. I mean, the best
it would be if they were the best, but they're not, are they?
The best is any team you
the
follow.
The best is yet to come.
No, listen, I just happened to be aware of the fact that it's Tina Turner's 77th birthday today.
Is it really?
And she's still performing
what a marvellous
live on
woman
stage.
she is.
Do you know who once told me about how brilliant she was? It was Mickey Brennan.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mickey, of course, being our photographer pal, who's a couple of photographs you framed and sent to people this week, and, and a terrific guy, but he was with us in the 80s. But he went to a Tina Turner concert, to do the pictures for, I don't know, some great magazine, real picture ones, and he said her movement on stage is absolutely incredible. Yeah. And her legs.
Oh, she's a great dancer.
Now she claims that Mick Jagger stole most of his stage moves off her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty outrageous claim, that, considering Mick Jagger is probably the most famous singer
I think Mick Jagger
of all time.
is probably somebody that's would be accused of stealing various things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he was famous for, wasn't it? I mean, his vocal style was kind of taken from the blues singers of the 50s, right?
That's right.
And I suppose you would say so. His dancing style was taken from Tina Turner. He does that kind of staccato thing that she does.
Yeah, I suppose he does. Now, talking about Mickey, of course, not every mission he went on was successful, was it?
Well, that's true. Funnily enough, talking about Cuba,
exactly.
I mean, he went on a magnificent trip to Cuba way back in the day when Fidel Castro used to have these kind of socialist jamborees, right?
That's right?
And he had this massive sort of socialist get-together conference type thing, which Arthur Scargill had been invited to.
Yeah.
And this was when Arthur Scargill was head of the mining union.
And a power in the land.
Very much a power in the land, top man. And he went over to Cuba to take part in this kind of festival of socialism, right? Yeah. And Mickey Brennan was sent down, dispatched, to get a picture of Fidel Castro and Arthur Scargill together.
Next to each other,
which wasn't always going to be that easy to do, because there was thousands of people from Russia there, people from like Vietnam, people from China. I mean, it was thousands of people. And Mickey,
also, they weren't that cooperative, the Cuban authorities.
Not only were they not cooperative, but at that time, he was based in New York, couldn't fly straight to Cuba.
Exactly.
So he had to fly to Mexico City and get a flight from Mexico City into Cuba.
That's right.
It's all very complicated, right? So he got into Cuba finally. He had to get all sorts of passports because they wouldn't let anyone in straight from. If they knew he'd come from America, he wouldn't get him in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so finally he couldn't find any way of getting them together.
Yeah.
Except for the final day of this conference, there was a massive sort of stage, and everyone who had been invited was up on the stage.
And was going to kiss
tears,
Fidel. And
yeah,
all that,
and there were sort of tears and tears of them, like,
Yeah.
like a school picture. You know,
Sure.
there was probably about 400 of them, right? And so Mickey Brennan, knowing that England would desperately want this picture and they would want to put it on page one, Arthur Scargill finally meets his communist hero, Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Mickey, he wasn't absolutely certain who Arthur Scargill was because he'd been in America for so long, and he wasn't exactly sure precisely what he looked like.
And you couldn't access like your tablet or your phone in those days to bring up a picture of Arthur Scargill.
He asked some guy who was working for the Associated Press, can you see Arthur Scargill up there? And the guy went, oh, yeah, that's him over there.
That's
So he said,
Scargill.
oh, fantastic, great. So he takes the picture. And he takes the picture to the right of the podium rather than to the left because, of course, he's got Scargill about 3 people away from Fidel Castro. It was as close as he could have ever got them.
Yeah.
And takes the picture, and he then, in those days, you couldn't, again, digital send it. So he had to get out of Cuba, get to Mexico City, develop the film, make a print of it.
Devon fix it,
and put it on the wire machine and send it over to London, right?
Yeah. And by the way, Cuba's a much, much bigger island than most people think. And this conference is in a remote part of the island. He had to drive 600 miles back to Havana.
And also, it was a one-time only visa that he had.
Yes.
So having gone out of the place, he couldn't get back in. There was no chance of that. So he sends the picture over, and about sort of 20 minutes later, gets an irate phone call from the picture editor, I think it was the Daily Mail he was working for, who says, Mickey, what's this picture you've sent me? He said, well, it's a picture of Arthur Scargill and Fidel Castro. He said, well, where's Scargill? And he said, well, you see where Castro's standing? He said, if you go behind him 2 rows and 1 up, that's Arthur Scargill.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, no, it isn't.
That's
it's not Arthur Scargill. And he said, well, that's who I was told that was Arthur Scargill.
Well, you're told wrong.
And he's like, well, no, that is definitely not Arthur Scargill. And in fact, there is no picture of Arthur Scargill. None of these heads that you've taken is a picture of Arthur Scargill.
Yeah.
He says, you'll have to go back and do it again. He's like, I can't. I can't get back in. So they never got the picture of Arthur Scargill and Fidel Castro.
Poor old Mickey. And he took hundreds of pictures, by the way, because he thought,
but they were all of the same side of the stage.
Exactly,
so
they were.
Scargill wasn't
and
in
he
it.
took hundreds of pictures of Fidel Castro without Arthur Scargill.
And they'd been holding literally a hole in a page. Because they'd already written the story, because the reporter had already filed the story.
Oh, he'd been ringing them on the way back from Cuba saying, Mexico City, 6 hours.
And it was one of those stories. This is the first picture,
right,
and of course they didn't have it.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a problem.
The truth, Arthur Scargill and Fidel Castro.
And Brennan then went to a bar, drowned his sorrows for about 12 hours, rang up the picture editor in the middle of the night at his house and threatened to cut his heart out.
That's right, Told him what a dope was.
Speaking of stories of daring do,
yes.
are you aware that earlier this week, Mr. Andy Townsend, former co-presenter of yours...
Oh, Andy's a great mate of mine.
Is he?
Yeah, great.
Well, he was on a show with Alan Brazil.
Oh, well, he would have talked about me in very glowing terms.
Well, he told a story about you, which was not entirely in glowing terms.
What?
Listen to this.
Well, of course, I shared many weekends with Mr. Parry, and of course Monday to Fridays as well. So, one night in my local pub, we were actually doing the show from up in the Midlands, and we were in my local pub one Saturday night. We were working the next day, and Andy Gray was in there, Mark Bowen, my friend, who's assistant manager at Stoke. We were all in there with our wives having taffy. We're having a bit of grub on a Saturday night, and a few beers and and all of a sudden, Mike decides to give us a little rendition of one of his Everton songs. I don't know which one it was, Al. I'm not sure which one I can't even remember what it was. But anyway, someone
Should have said Grand Old Team, maybe? Or...
It might have been that. And someone took took umbrage to his voice in the pub. Who was sitting down and eating. And he was now standing on his chair.
Yes.
As he was doing it.
I've seen this before.
Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
And we all thought it was great. I mean, we were enjoying it. We were loving it. But unfortunately... someone clearly didn't like it and asked him to stop, and which, to be fair, he did stop, but it was about another 10 minutes later. Anyway, once it all finished, I don't know what happened, but in a flash, I don't know what went on now, but all of a sudden I heard the big slap,
right,
and then I turned around and Mike's chops were still rattling from this slap that he'd received from someone in the pub. Actually, it was from a woman who took offence to something that I think that he said, and he wasn't actually that out of order, Mike. But of course, he didn't know. He couldn't remember anything about it on the day. And then the following morning, when we're doing the show, he had this huge paw mark on the side of his face where this lady unfortunately decided to give him a slap.
Good girl.
So it's shocking.
That is
Absolutely
shocking. That's
story.
a shocking version of events.
Shocking
Shall I tell you what
story.
happened?
Are you telling me that didn't happen?
Well,
are you saying you weren't slapped by a woman?
I was, but it was Andy and Andy Gray's fault. It wasn't nothing to do with me.
Oh, you weren't singing?
I might have sung a little bit, but only a little bit.
So it's a true story,
but what I'm saying is, we were sitting at the table. There's about 8 or 10 of us, right? And on the other side of the restaurant, there was a group of ladies who were. It wasn't like a hen party. They were celebrating a forthcoming marriage, and the bride-to-be was there with her mum and her aunties and her friends and all that kind of stuff. And they were making quite a lot of noise. So at one point, we made some reference to the Tiller Girls or something like that. You know what I mean?
What, something derogatory?
No, something very friendly. And the mum in particular was getting completely bladderated. And every time she went to the loo, she passed our table and made like a snidey comment. You know what I mean? Something like, footballers.
Yes.
And everybody at the table was associated with football except me.
Except for you.
Yeah. And
Well,
then,
you do stand out a bit, don't you?
and then she came back and she said, what do you expect from footballers and all that kind of stuff, And then the third time she came past, she said footballers, and somebody like Andy Gray said, don't worry about it, love, you seem to be getting stuck in there yourself. And she said, how dare you? And then she
thought it was you?
She stood at the table and she said, how dare you? How dare you speak to me like that? We're respectable people. I hate footballers. Bang! And smashed me across the face. I was the only non-footballer at the table. Not only that, I hadn't made the comment. It was Andy Gray. And Andy Gray fell off his chair laughing, as did Andy Townsend.
But Andy Townsend's a very fine, upstanding member of the community. I can't imagine that he would have made the story up or changed the details of it just to make you sound bad.
I think time must have withered his memory a little bit, that's all. But anyway, it was a great night, and I just felt for the poor lady, really. She was so bladderated by that stage, she didn't know where she was going.
Is that right? Big Cheese has sent this one in. He says, no wonder Parry climbed a corporate ladder if he's laughing at jokes before the punchline arrives. Which is very true.
Very true.
This is Talk Sport. Now, about 5 minutes in, nearly 6 minutes in at Burnley against Manchester City, 0-0 so far. But Adrian Durham is, for us, a far more fascinating game. Bobcat, Barbs, Swansea and Crystal Palace. Adrian, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, I'm going to watch the offense against the defense.
Push the envelope.
Get in the face of the turkey.
You know what? I think that we discussed this briefly yesterday on Drive, that whether he's a good coach or not, whether he's going to be successful here at Swansea or not, it has become irrelevant because he is, and probably wrongly, being judged on his accent, isn't it?
Yeah, of course he is.
Well, it's partly because of the way he speaks. I mean, we make fun of a lot of managers here on the Two Bites shows, but I mean, it's the way that he does this he has this breathing thing where even when he's not talking, he's making a noise. And so it's very easy to make fun
of. It's a bit like Mr. Parry, isn't it?
Very similar.
It is a bit like
Well, he hardly ever breaks between words, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he also uses these strange American expressions like, we did a good game.
And also, we're making plays. We're making plays.
He was talking in the press conference this week about Thanksgiving, and I think he said something like, we're going to have some good FaceTiming.
That's right, yeah.
FaceTime.
Whoa.
I know. Now, of course, it is time for this. Oh, we haven't got the music.
Oh, we'll get it in a
Why
minute.
haven't we got
It's
the
coming.
music?
It's coming. I'll improvise. How long?
Yeah, you can sing it.
Has this been
that's
going
enough.
on?
That's enough.
How long?
That's enough.
It was called Bass, weren't they? The group who sang that?
No, Ace.
Ace, that's right. Ace, that's right.
Bass.
Yeah, well, I don't know
Bass,
why, yeah.
common and popular.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
you are.
Anyway.
Now, this, of course, is the 1 minute mo.
1 minute mo.
And we haven't got time to get the music together because we'll be done in 2 minutes. So, I'm going to go first now because I'm quite worked up about my 1 minute mo.
Right, okay.
Would you like to start the clock? I wonder if we've got the clock.
Well, I'm sure we've got the clock
we've got
somewhere.
the clock. Oh, good.
Right, clock start, please.
Now, you know that yesterday was Black Friday, right? Yes. Last week I had a moan about that because people were going to spend a ludicrous amount of money. 1.2 billion apparently was spent online, right?
Yes.
But I'm not talking about Black Friday this week. This week I'm talking about Christmas. You know why? Because Christmas has kicked off already. And I can't remember a Christmas kicking off this early in my life.
Yeah.
It is still, the last week of November. December hasn't even started. Everywhere in London, all the Christmas lights have been lit up.
Yep.
And most parts of the country, the Christmas lights have been lit up. There's trees everywhere. There's, ridiculous Christmas displays in every single shop that you see.
Yes.
And I just think, even in the papers today, you referred to it earlier, Jamie Oliver's Christmas dinner.
I know.
What is going on?
Yeah.
It is actually the 26th of November. And in America, at least they have the good grace not to start the Christmas rush until after Thanksgiving,
That's right.
which is usually then the beginning of the first week of December.
Well, exactly.
I just think it's nonsensical. And by the way, every year people say, we're not going to spend too much money this year. We're not going to buy the kids that many presents.
That's
and
right.
every year it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And people supposedly have no money money, you know, we keep hearing about are spending a fortune. It's
There
mad.
you go. There you go. There's
That's
your
my
minute.
moan.
Okay, that's your moan. Okay.
What's yours then? Wait, in fact,
yeah.
Go on. I suppose I just have to start the clock.
That has some merit, I have to say.
Thank you very much.
But I have to say it's also been commented on by other people. Mine is rather more unique.
Okay, well, let's start your a minute moan now.
I am really, really fed up with the National Lottery. Now, you know that I spend £20 a week on the National Lottery,
Yes.
OK? I've never won £1 million, never won a fortune.
You've won occasionally.
I've won sums of up to £150, £160 for getting 4 numbers, or 5 numbers. I think it was 5 numbers, got 160 quid, right? But nevertheless, I spend it. But the problem is, since they put it up from 49 numbers to 59 numbers, it is now virtually impossible, in my view. Now, this has been reflected in the fact that we learned today that they're going to take off the National Lottery announcement show on a Saturday night, which has been part of our lives for nigh on 25 years.
Did you actually watch that?
No, of course I don't. But in the start, people did. It was Anthony Turner. Anthony Turner used to stand there and then the balls would come out of the machine. Eamon Holmes, I think, did it for a bit, you know, some sort of semi-famous people. I don't know. No, I've no idea. But the problem is, with 59 numbers, your chances went from 1 in 14 million possible win to 1 in 23. So I might even give up the National Lottery. I might stop
Your
buying.
minute's up, by the way.
I might stop
Your
buying
minute's up.
my
Finished.
£10 of tickets every Friday. Every Saturday and Wednesday because I'm fed up.
Why does your 1 minute moan have to go on for another 20 minutes?
Because mine has validation.
No, it doesn't. Once again, what you've done is you've picked a subject which only affects you and that you're not happy about.
Yeah, I'm not.
Thereby, proving to everybody out there who's listening that you are self-centred and self-obsessed. Mine, on the other hand, was a general conversation about the problem with society.
Yours was a nothing.
People, feel free to tweet in which one you prefer. You can tweet us at the 2 Mikes, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG, and we'll get Ross to give us a ruling on which one he preferred as well. This is TalkSport. Now, here's one from Mr. Shaw on Twitter who says, only Planky Parry would cut short Tim Vine's punchline, unaware that is his actual brand of comedy.
Yeah, but
he's too busy shushing others so he can talk.
No. The thing is, because my brain works a bit faster than most people's, I could anticipate it was coming, so I laughed in unison with him telling the punchline.
No, you were already moving on. You do that thing where you go, oh, yeah, that's very interesting.
Makes it look like... I'm really on the ball.
Yeah.
Now, you had just had a moan about Christmas, okay? And
yes,
I think you'll find that it's not as good as my moan. I've been
well,
given
I'm shocked to hear, actually, that
hint.
Ross, the producer, this week has sided with you.
Indeed.
Which means that's okay. I don't mind. I mean, I'm happy to occasionally lose the odd tussle with you. So it makes it about 4-1, I think.
Millions of people out there will empathise with what I'm saying. The lottery now is almost impossible to
win.
win.
Well, then give it up then.
Well, I might do, but I fear that my numbers might come up, you see.
I've worked out that you've spent about 25 grand.
I have, on
buying lottery tickets in your
over
life,
the years.
which is pathetic.
Well,
I mean, just pathetic. I mean, most people never earn that kind of money in a year.
Yeah, well, you know, these things
just
happen.
waste it on the lottery, you know.
Now, you mentioned Christmas, and I can tell you the presents have already started coming in.
Have they?
Now, people, if
it's
they
very
want...
early for that, isn't it?
Well, it may be early, but, I mean, people look forward, don't they, and arrange their lives. Now, first of all, this morning, we had a personal delivery of a beautiful big box of Ferrero Rocher.
Yes.
With a colouring book. I'm not too sure about the relevance of the colouring book.
Well, that'll be for you, obviously. Well, no, you've been talking about...
For your children.
You've been talking about wanting a colouring book.
I haven't.
For ages, because it's the new thing.
I've never.
It's the new thing.
I've never.
You know, it's the new thing. It's what people do. They have adult colouring books.
I've never asked for a colouring book, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, this came from...
Why don't you have it anyway?
This came from a lady whose handle is Lovely Lizzie.
Yes.
I want to thank you very much indeed, Lizzie. The Ferrero Rocher look absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
The sort of thing that the ambassador gives at his dinner parties.
Yeah, Nigel Farage has been walking around with them, hasn't he?
Absolutely stylish and appropriate to me. Thank you very much indeed. Now, the second Prezi that's come in this morning, I'm going to actually present
I've already had a gift of wine, actually, that I got a couple of days ago.
You mean the bottle of champagne?
No, not the bottle of champagne. I got some more wine the other day. I forgot to mention it.
Who sent us the bottle of champagne?
The champagne came from Matt, who's with the 2 Mikes FC.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
But another very, very fine contributor sent it. Go on.
Now, Lovely Lizzie sent us hers domestically and hand-delivered it.
It says New Zealand on it.
This is New Zealand, and it's air freight, and we have one each, so I'm going to allow you to open it and find out what's going on here, please.
I'm not sure if I can actually open this, because it looks it looks quite well put together.
Well, don't worry.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose Christmas comes a little bit early in the drinking area. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? I mean, have you opened yours yet?
I have opened mine.
Have you? Well, why you want me to open this one live?
Well, because I like the sound of the tearing cardboard.
sound
It gives
of the tearing
people,
cardboard.
like Christmas Day morning
Certainly
feeling.
looks,
doesn't
it looks like a bottle.
Well, I've got mine out, so I'm going to
I
reveal
can see
to
it. It says
our millions of listeners.
Tarua Bay.
It's mine's Our Tear River.
Is it?
By Louis Vavasseur, Marlborough, Pinot Gris, 2016 New Zealand wine.
Very nice.
And I am assuming this has come from our fan, follower,
Our friend
listener,
Becky.
friend Becky in New Zealand. Becky, I want to thank you very much
Very
indeed.
nice. Tarua Bay, that's a Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Mine. Well, actually, she
Please
must know
drink
us
responsibly.
well, because I find Sauvignon Blanc a little too sharp.
Do you?
But the Pinot Gris is absolutely perfect
Right.
and just right for me. Thank you very much indeed, Becky. It's very good of you indeed.
That is very nice.
And that's smashing. And thank you to Lizzie as well.
Yeah, all right.
And anybody else who wants to send
That's
us
enough.
presents.
It's not a Christmas show.
Please
Right?
feel free to. There's
Yes.
not a problem.
Thank you, yeah.
I don't get upset about it.
No,
Okay.
he doesn't. No, he accepts any presents that anybody will give him.
Right.
Now,
Now then.
let's prepare
Yes.
for the Swansea Crystal Palace games. Adrian Drummond's down there, right?
Indeed.
Would you like to have a listen to what Mr. Bobcat Barb has been saying ahead of the game?
I sure would.
Go ahead.
The Everton game was positive. Football's crazy sometimes. The one part you don't always control is just at the end how the ball bounces. So the message was simplified, and now it's a positive message that says, look, you've done it in the past. We play a good match against Everton. Training has been good. We're ready to push on in a strong way.
Push on in a strong
Push
way.
on a strong way. Yeah, it's a good match.
Yeah, nobody knows how the ball bounces.
No, that's right, yeah. Well, I know how the ball bounces. It's spherical and it bounces in a uniform sort of way.
Yes.
But anyway, there you go.
Now, you're off to Southampton, aren't you?
Off to Southampton tomorrow, delighted, because I go in the Mick Shannon Lounge.
Do you?
And it's lovely. And I'm taking...
Will Mick Shannon be there?
No, I don't think so. I sometimes see Monsieur Letizier,
Oh, yes.
Matt God, as he's known down there.
God, yeah.
And I see Laurie McMenemy,
Oh, yes.
who's still around, and it's great. What I was going to say to you was, let's not forget that before we go on air again, there'll be a new Formula One World Motor Racing Champion.
Yes, there will. I was going to ask you about that,
And
because what we don't want you to do...
I believe it could be Lewis Hamilton.
Well, when you say it could be, you see, that's not quite going there, is it? Well, of course it could be Lewis
Yes.
Hamilton. That's not
All right,
really
well, I'm going
a
to say it
prediction.
will be then.
So you've now just jinxed
Yes,
it. I was going to
yeah.
say the Porky jinx
No.
will kick in. Lewis Hamilton will spin off on the second bend.
No, he finishes first, and Nico Rosberg has to finish fourth or below.
Yes.
That will give Lewis Hamilton the title. Now, on the chances of probability, Lewis Hamilton has had so much mechanical problem this season.
Well, not lately, he hasn't.
And not lately,
lately.
but the first half of the season he did.
Yeah, but the first
Nico
half of the season
Rosberg has
is
had
over.
none.
Right.
Nico Rosberg has had none. So, in my view, I believe that karma... instant karma's going to get you, going to smack you right in the face.
Yeah.
And I think karma will suddenly erupt.
It's going to be fascinating.
Abu Dhabi
It's
tomorrow.
going to be a fascinating race, because, I mean, the first thing that Lewis Hamilton is going to have to make sure he does is get around the course, basically.
Yeah, but he has done in the second
can't
half of the season.
But he
you're
has,
right.
that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
he can't be too aggressive either,
And at
even
the
though
front-
that is his métier, isn't it? He likes to be aggressive.
The man who's got it all to lose is Nico Rosberg, the man who can actually
Well,
go
that's
out.
because he's in the lead.
Yes, exactly. But the
Yeah.
man who can go out on a limb and say, I'm going to, push the envelope is Lewis Hamilton.
I just worry slightly that now that you've tipped Lewis Hamilton to actually do it and to win, that you might find that the old Porky jinx will kick in.
I think not.
And qualifying course is going on as we speak, isn't it?
I think not.
We don't yet know precisely how it's all going to be on the grid yet, do
That's
we?
right. That's right.
I think Hamilton's slightly nosing ahead at the
Yes,
moment.
yes.
But you and I will be back on Tuesday.
We sure will.
But we won't be back at the usual time. We'll be back in for Hawksby and Jacobs at 1 p.m, will we not?
Yeah. I have to apologise.
Yeah.
Well-
Why would you stop with that kind of, completely disinterested,
Excuse
batting
me.
my words back to me?
But you haven't given the audience some vital information.
Well, I can't give any information about your
The
secret
reason I
project.
will not be here on Monday, folks, is
because
because
of a massive miscalculation on your part.
No, it's not a massive
Massive
miscalculation.
miscalculation.
I am
Complete and utter
busy
cock-up.
on the secret mission.
Yeah.
I'm doing my duty for the country.
Yeah.
I can say nothing more,
Yeah.
otherwise I'd have to come around and shoot you all individually.
You literally could not organise a tour of a brewery. never mind anything else.
And that is why I will not be around on the airwaves on Monday. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, people will be devastated by that, I'm
They
sure.
will.
We'll be back at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. We are the Two Mics.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The warm-up with the Two Mics on Talk Sport.
All I'm saying is,